Welcome to the Fifth Estate, a conversation between young African scholars from the Foothill School of Government and Professor Mutahi Ngunye. This week, we stumbled upon the NASA presidential candidate results. And because pushing the announcement of these results to the month of May is a con, we will announce the candidate today. We're particularly dismayed by the conmanship around this nomination. For starters, pushing the results to the 11th hour in May is suspect. It's a trap. And the trap master is Baba. Similarly, sending the nomination process to a committee is a delay tactic. It also smells of Baba. If these tricks were not antiques, they would have been clever. And this is why we will announce the NASA presidential candidate today.
As a matter of public interest, our intention today is to abort the lies that the Orengo Committee and NASA will breed. What we have learned from history is that a committee is nothing but a group of the incompetent, appointed by the unwilling, to do the unnecessary. This is why, if Moses was a committee, the Israelites would still be in captivity. What is my point here? A committee like the NASA one is created to misengineer genuine intentions. And the July 1958 issue of Vogue magazine describes this misengineering very well. It observes that a camel is a horse designed by a committee. The intention was good, but the committee misengineered the design. If the NASA candidate is therefore designed by the Orengo Committee, it will be a camel, not a horse. It will not race. It will be a carrier of burdens. And maybe this is the intention of Baba. This is how he will kill an idea that was not his.
And now we pose a public interest question. If Orengo is the chairman of the NASA committee, who will the coalition candidate be? Will it be the Nairobi City Council or will it be Raila Amolo Odinga? This is not rocket science. If history is a trustworthy account of the acts of men, then the NASA candidate is Raila Amolo Odinga. This Amolo man will not become candidate. He will be made candidate through committee fraud. And we say so because the Orengo Committee is an assassination committee. It is an assemblage of political hitmen. In fact, NASA was engineered as a suicide pill to be swallowed by Cord, Kalonzo, and Wetangula. Fortunately, Cord swallowed the pill and died, but Kalonzo and Wetangula are still politically alive. The Orengo Committee is meant to politically assassinate the two remaining obstacles. Consider our argument with us.
If Raila is the NASA candidate, he will have two choices for running mate. It will either be Kalonzo or Mudavadi. If he takes Kalonzo, the Luyo vote will feel slighted. If he takes Mudavadi, Kalonzo will cause a tantrum for a fact. But Raila's best bet is Mudavadi. And we want to announce here today that Raila's running mate under NASA will be Mudavadi. This has three effects. One, if this announcement is delayed until May, it will be too late for Kalonzo and Wetangula to seek alternatives. Their political assassination will have been achieved. Two, with this act, Raila will have killed Cord and swallowed NASA. With Kalonzo and Wetangula out and Mudavadi under his thumb, he will have made nonsense of the original NASA. Three, these two acts are what we call self-cannibalization. By weaving opposition unity around his personal ambition, he will end up dividing opposition. And this is how Raila fails for a fourth time.
The NASA candidate is one Raila Amolo Odinga, period. The country has made up its mind. Do not confuse us with the facts. We are not interested. Similarly, the running mate is Musalia Mudavadi, period. With Raila and Mudavadi, NASA will recreate the winning coalition of 2007. Although they lost, Raila took his team straight into government. As a bare minimum, this is what Raila wants. On his part, Kalonzo will bolt out of NASA, in my view. The issue is not if he will, but when he will. And like Raila, he will do so to recreate the 2007 magic. In that election, he ran as president, lost, and got awarded the job of vice president. His gamble paid off. And if it worked then, why not repeat it this year? The Kalonzo scheme, therefore, is very simple. Abandon NASA, accuse Orengo of rigging Raila in as a NASA candidate, then run as president under Wiper with the intention of denying NASA the Kamba vote. And as a result, NASA loses the election. And like in 2007, Kalonzo is rewarded with a big job. This time not as vice president, but as prime minister under Jubilee. Either way, he wins.
Now, we will flip the argument. Is it possible that Raila is not as clever as we think? If he has a history of being cheated during elections, can we say that he is clever? Instead, can we hypothesize that NASA is actually a suicide pill that is designed to finish him? We ask this question because the political underdogs in NASA were all created by Arap Moi. In fact, Mudavadi, Kalonzo, and Wetangula are all test tube babies manufactured in a Moi laboratory as Raila languished in political detention. And then there is this Bomet incursion organized by these Moi test tube babies. And because Raila loves crowds, they have set up huge rallies for him. But if you take a goat and a hyena to the marketplace, which of the two will attract crowds? Of course, it's a hyena. But in the end, which of the two animals will you take home? The hyena or the goat? Obviously, it's the goat. In our view, therefore, Raila is the one walking into a NASA trap. And the trap masters are Moi's boys.
Back to the Orengo NASA committee. 50% is made up of Luya interests, 25% of Kamba interests, and Raila has only 25% shareholding. If this is accurate, we must pose the question: is Raila walking into what is known as a McCarthyist trap? In this trap, the most cruel lies are told in silence. And in this political seduction, the greatest mistake is being nice. Are the Moi boys in NASA telling Raila the cruel lies in silence? Are they up to something, and this is why they are silent about the obvious things? Have they learned from Raila and his 3 failures to capture the presidency that being nice is a big mistake in political seduction?
In the alternative scenario, Raila is outfoxed by the Moi test tube babies. Kalonzo becomes a NASA candidate and Mudavadi the running mate. This creates a fresh excitement, especially because of the numbers commandeered by Kalonzo, Mudavadi, and Wetangula. Isolated and brooding, Raila decides to run under ODM, but midstream it becomes obvious to him that he is losing. And to save face, he decides to boycott the election, blaming his decision on rigging and sundry as he has already done so. So if NASA does not make Raila its candidate, Raila will boycott the election in my view. He has already told us that this is an option. Similarly, he has repeatedly told his supporters that the election has already been stolen. This means that his supporters have absolutely no motivation to vote in an election that has already been stolen anyway. All this conversation is meant to psych his voters for a boycott should the need arise. It is more honorable, in my view, to boycott the election than to become number 3 behind Kalonzo and behind Uhuru. I could also be wrong.
If the McCarthy trap is to happen, Kalonzo will have to be the ringleader. He is the only one who is equal to Raila. But for Kalonzo to do the McCarthy trap on Raila, he has to liberate himself from the proverbial curse of great potential. In this curse, there was a man who was extremely intelligent. He had grand ideas. However, he lived too cautiously and was afraid to take risks. And then he died from stiffness, cowardice, and anxiety. His family went to collect insurance after the burial. However, the insurance firm refused to pay. The argument was both bizarre and logical. They declared that since the man had never really lived, he could not have died. The argument was accepted and insurance denied. To Kalonzo, therefore, this curse of great potential has his name written